I had been sitting in that same pew for 23 years, and I had never felt the sanctuary so quiet. The choir stood frozen in their robes, the bishop held his Bible closed against his chest, and my husband knelt at the altar, about to be ordained. This was supposed to be the holiest moment of our lives. Then a woman I had never seen before stood up from the third row. She didn't cry. She didn't shout. She didn't ask permission. She walked down the aisle, stopped in front of the bishop, and silently placed a sealed envelope into his hands. And in that moment, before anyone said a word, I knew something sacred had just been interrupted, and my life was about to change forever. My name is Claire Whitmore, and I'm 51 years old. I've been married to Thaddeus Whitmore for 28 years. We met when we were both in our early 20s, serving in the young adult ministry at Bethel AME Church. He was studying theology. I was teaching elementary school. We fell in love over Bible studies and late-night conversations about God's call on our lives. I'm going to be ordained one day, he told me on our third date. Not as a boast, as a certainty. Like he'd already seen it written in God's plan. 23 years. That's how long he'd been working toward this moment. Lay minister to licensed minister to associate pastor. Master of divinity while working full-time. Hundreds of sermons. Countless families counseled. Weddings performed. Funerals conducted. All leading to this, September 17th, 2023. The day Thaddeus Whitmore would finally kneel before Bishop Franklin and receive what he'd been called to. I'd been preparing for months. New dress, royal blue with gold trim. Speech written for the reception. Out-of-state guests coordinated. Our children were there. Isaiah, 26, sitting next to me. Naomi, 23, in the choir preparing to sing, How Great Thou Art. The sanctuary was packed. Visiting pastors, bishops from other districts, seminary professors, people who'd known Thaddeus since he was a young man just beginning this journey. This wasn't just an achievement, it was vindication. Public recognition that Thaddeus Whitmore had been called by God and found worthy by men. The worship had been anointed, scripture readings powerful. Bishop Franklin's sermon about the weight of pastoral ministry landed with authority, about sacrifice, dedication, the sacred trust between shepherd and flock. Then came the moment. Thaddeus walked to the altar in his new robe, black with purple stoles, AME colors. He knelt, head bowed, hands folded. Bishop Franklin stood before him holding the ceremonial Bible. 6 elders gathered around, all ordained ministers who'd mentored and examined him over the years. The choir stood. The congregation leaned forward. We were seconds away from the laying on of hands, from the irreversible pronouncement that would make him Elder Whitmore. That's when she stood up. I didn't see her at first. I was watching Thaddeus, absorbed in the holiness of it. But I felt the shift, a collective intake of breath, attention turning away from the altar. I looked back. A woman in a simple navy dress stood in the third row, left side, maybe 40 years old. I'd never seen her before, and from the confused faces around her, no one else had either. She stepped into the aisle. The choir's humming faltered, stopped. Bishop Franklin looked up from his Bible. The elders turned. She walked down the aisle, not hurried, not dramatic, just steady, purposeful steps. She held a white envelope in her hand, business-sized, sealed. She walked all the way to the front, stopped directly in front of Bishop Franklin, and without saying a single word, placed the envelope in his hands. Then she turned, walked back up the aisle, through the front doors, gone. The silence that followed felt like pressure, like the whole room was holding its breath. Bishop Franklin looked down at the envelope. I could see his name written in neat black ink. Bishop Lawrence Franklin, presiding elder. Thaddeus was still kneeling but had turned his head slightly, trying to see. His face showed confusion, maybe concern, but nothing more. Bishop Franklin looked at the elders. They looked back. Some silent communication passed between them. Then the bishop did something I'll never forget. He tucked the envelope into his robe, didn't open it, didn't read it, just tucked it away. "Let us continue," he said, his voice carrying decades of authority. "This is a holy moment, and we will not allow it to be disrupted." The choir resumed humming. The elders repositioned around Thaddeus. Bishop Franklin raised his hands and began the ordination prayer. But everything had changed. The sacredness had been punctured. We were going through motions we no longer believed in. I watched Thaddeus receive the laying on of hands. I watched Bishop Franklin pronounce him an ordained elder. I watched him stand and turn to face the congregation, newly ordained, receiving the applause and amens required in that moment. But my eyes kept going back to the bishop's robe, to where the envelope was tucked, to the mystery of what was written inside. What I didn't know then was that the envelope would remain sealed for weeks, and that the waiting would be worse than anything written inside. The service concluded. The congregation filed to the fellowship hall for the reception. Everyone was talking. Who was that woman? What was in that envelope? Why during the ordination? I found Thaddeus in the pastor's study removing his robe. He looked shaken but was trying to hide it. "Do you know who that was?" I asked. "No idea. Never seen her before. What do you think was in the envelope?" "I don't know, Claire, but Bishop Franklin will handle it. I'm sure it's confusion or misunderstanding." The reception went on as planned. People congratulated Thaddeus. We cut the cake, we took photos. Everyone was polite and celebratory. But underneath it all was a current of unease. The envelope hung over everything. Bishop Franklin left immediately after, claiming another engagement. Didn't mention the envelope. Didn't tell us what was in it. Just shook Thaddeus's hand, said, "Congratulations, Elder Whitmore," and left. And that's when I should have known. A bishop doesn't leave his own district's ordination early unless something is deeply wrong. The next morning, Sunday, Thaddeus was scheduled to preach his first sermon as an ordained elder. But at 8 a.m., the church administrator called. "Elder Whitmore, Bishop Franklin has requested that you not preach this Sunday. Reverend Phillips will fill in." Thaddeus's face went pale. Did he say why? "No, sir. Just that he needed more time to finalize some details from yesterday's ordination." "Finalize what details?" "I was ordained. The ceremony was completed." "I don't have more information, sir. Just relaying the bishop's request." Thaddeus hung up and looked at me with something I'd rarely seen in his eyes. Fear. "This is about the envelope," he said. We tried calling Bishop Franklin. Office, cell phone, left messages. No response. That Sunday, we sat in the congregation and watched Reverend Phillips preach. People kept looking at us, whispering. The same question on everyone's mind. What was in the envelope? Monday afternoon, Bishop Franklin called. "Elder Whitmore, I need you at my office. 2:00, come alone." "Bishop, can you tell me what this is about?" "We'll discuss it when you arrive." He hung up. I looked at Thaddeus. "I'm coming with you." He said alone. "I'm your wife. If something concerns your ordination, it concerns me." At 2:00, we drove to the district office. Bishop Franklin's secretary greeted us with an uncomfortable expression. "Elder Whitmore, Mrs. Whitmore, the bishop is expecting Elder Whitmore." "I'm here as his wife," I said firmly. "Whatever needs to be discussed can be discussed with both of us." She looked uncertain, picked up the phone, spoke quietly, nodded. "You can both go up." Bishop Franklin was behind his desk. 68 years old, over 40 years in ministry. He'd ordained hundreds, seen everything. But even he looked uncomfortable. "Elder Whitmore, Sister Whitmore, please sit." We sat. "Bishop, what's going on?" Thaddeus asked. Why was I asked not to preach? Bishop Franklin opened a drawer, pulled out the envelope, still sealed, placed it on the desk between us. "I received this during your ordination, and I need to address its contents before we can proceed." "Proceed with what?" I asked. "Thaddeus is already ordained." The laying on of hands was completed, the bishop corrected gently. "But ordination isn't official until paperwork is filed with the general church, and given what I've learned, I cannot file that paperwork until this matter is resolved." My heart started pounding. "What matter?" Bishop Franklin looked at Thaddeus. "Do you know a woman named Simone Barrett?" The name hit the air like a slap. I watched Thaddeus's face carefully, saw recognition flicker, then denial, then panic. I knew someone by that name years ago, but it's been 24 years, Bishop Franklin said, according to her letter. Letter. The envelope contained a letter from a woman named Simone Barrett, a woman Thaddeus had known 24 years ago. May I read what she wrote? It wasn't really a question. Thaddeus nodded, jaw tight. The bishop opened the envelope, unfolded several pages of handwritten text, cleared his throat. Bishop Franklin, my name is Simone Barrett. I am writing this letter because I believe you deserve to know the truth about the man you are about to ordain. 24 years ago, when Thaddeus Whitmore was serving as a youth minister at First Baptist Church in Memphis, we had a brief relationship. I was 21. He was 27 and newly married. The relationship lasted 3 months before he ended it and moved away. What he doesn't know, what I never told him, is that I was pregnant when he left. I had a son, his son. His name is Elijah. He just turned 23 years old. I am not writing this letter to ask for money or to disrupt Elder Whitmore's life. I am writing because my son deserves to know who his father is. And the church deserves to know that the man being ordained kept a relationship and a child hidden for over 2 decades. I have enclosed a copy of Elijah's birth certificate, which lists father unknown and a photograph of my son. I believe you will see the resemblance. I do not seek to destroy Elder Whitmore. I seek only truth and accountability. May God guide your discernment in this matter. Sincerely, Simone Barrett. The silence was absolute. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't process. 24 years ago, Thaddeus was 27. We'd been married 4 years. I had a toddler son at home, and my husband had been having an affair. Bishop Franklin, Thaddeus's voice shook. I need to explain. Not yet, the bishop said firmly. First, I need to hear from your wife. He turned to me. Sister Whitmore, did you know about this relationship? I couldn't form words, shook my head. Did you know about the child? Another head shake. Bishop Franklin nodded slowly, sadly. Then he pulled a photograph from the envelope and slid it across the desk. I looked at it. My world tilted. The young man in the picture was the image of Thaddeus. Same eyes, same mouth, same nose, same smile. Like looking at a photograph of my husband from 20 years ago. His name is Elijah, the bishop said quietly. He's 23 years old, and he's never met his father. I stood up. The chair scraped. Both men looked at me. I need air. Claire! Thaddeus reached for my arm. I pulled away. Don't touch me. I walked out, down the stairs, through the front door, into the parking lot. I stood next to our car, gasping, trying not to vomit. 24 years. He'd kept this secret for 24 years, while we raised our children, while he preached about integrity, while he counseled couples about honesty, while he worked toward ordination. All of it built on a lie. I don't know how long I stood there. Eventually, Thaddeus came out, stood a few feet away, waiting. Say something, he finally said. What do you want me to say? That it's okay? That I understand? I want you to let me explain. Explain what? You had an affair, got another woman pregnant, left her to deal with it alone, and never told me. For 24 years. I was young. You were married. We had a young son at home. I know, and I've regretted it every day since. But not enough to tell me the truth. He had no answer. Did you know she was pregnant when you left? No, I swear. Would it have mattered if you did? He looked at me, and I saw the answer in his eyes. Maybe. Or maybe he would have run anyway. What happens now? Bishop Franklin has suspended my ordination. The paperwork won't be filed until this is resolved. Resolved how? I have to meet with Simone and Elijah, take responsibility. Then the bishop and elders will determine if I'm fit for ordination. And us? Thaddeus looked at me with tears. I don't know, Claire. That's up to you. We drove home in silence. The next few weeks were strange, not explosive, not dramatic, just strange. Thaddeus met with Bishop Franklin multiple times, met with the Council of Elders, confessed everything, the affair, the deception, the years of silence. But for me, the hardest part wasn't the big meetings. It was the small moments, the ones that reminded me everyone knew something I hadn't. Like the Sunday I went to teach my third-grade Sunday school class. Sister Pauline, who'd co-taught with me for 5 years, barely made eye contact. "Sister Claire," she said, her voice too careful. "If you need to take some time off, I can handle the class alone." "I'm fine," I said. "Are you sure? I mean, with everything." She trailed off. Because what was there to say? Or the Tuesday I ran into Deacon Morris at the grocery store. We'd known each other for 15 years. But when he saw me turning into his aisle, he suddenly remembered something he needed 3 aisles over. Or the women's Bible study I'd attended every Thursday for a decade. I walked in, and the conversation stopped mid-sentence. Sister Renee smiled too brightly. "Claire, we're so glad you're here." But the way they all looked at each other said something different. They'd been talking about me. And then there was the phone call with my best friend, Sister Angela. We'd had lunch together every other week for 12 years. But when I called to confirm our next lunch, she hesitated. "Actually, Claire, I'm going to be pretty busy for the next few weeks. Can we maybe postpone? For how long?" "I'm not sure. I need some time." Time. Everyone needed time. Everyone except me, apparently. I was supposed to just keep showing up, keep pretending everything was normal, while everyone else processed the scandal. What I didn't know then was that some of them weren't processing the scandal. They were processing something else, something they'd suspected, but never confirmed. It was Sister Dorothy who finally told me the truth. She showed up at my door on a Thursday evening with a casserole and a determined expression. "We need to talk," she said. I let her in. We sat at my kitchen table. "I'm going to tell you something," she said, "that I should have told you weeks ago, maybe years ago. But I didn't, because I thought it was just gossip, just people being messy." I waited. That woman who brought the envelope, some of the older members recognized her, or thought they did. Said she looked like a woman who used to work at First Baptist in Memphis 20-some years ago, back when Thaddeus was youth minister there. My stomach dropped. When the envelope came, and when word got around about what was in it, well, suddenly things people had whispered about back then started making sense. There were rumors, Claire, back when Thaddeus left Memphis suddenly. Rumors about why he left so fast. About a young secretary who stopped coming to church around the same time. Why didn't anyone tell me? Because they were just rumors. And by the time you and Thaddeus moved here, it was old news, ancient history. Most people had forgotten, or convinced themselves they'd imagined it. But some people remembered. Some people, she confirmed. And when that woman walked down that aisle, I think a lot of folks realized the rumors had been true all along. I sat there processing. The awkward silences, the pitying looks, the careful questions about how I was doing. They hadn't just been reacting to the scandal. They'd been reacting to the confirmation of something they'd suspected for decades. And I was the only one who hadn't known. Then came the meeting I'd been dreading. Simone and Elijah agreed to come to the district office. Bishop Franklin insisted I be there too. For healing, he said, for closure, for truth. So I went. Simone Barrett was small, kind eyes, gray streaking through her black hair, simple dress, quiet dignity. She looked at Thaddeus with something that wasn't anger but wasn't forgiveness either, just weariness. And Elijah. God, he looked like Thaddeus, tall, well-built, his father's eyes, his father's serious expression. Slacks and button-down shirt, nervous but determined. We sat around Bishop Franklin's conference table. The bishop opened with prayer. Then Simone spoke. "I want you all to know I'm not here to destroy anyone. I'm not here for money or revenge. I'm here because my son deserves to know his father, and because God convicted me to speak the truth before this ordination was finalized." She looked at Thaddeus. "You hurt me 24 years ago, made promises you didn't keep, left without explanation. But I've forgiven you. I had to, For my own peace. I've lived a good life, raised a good son. I don't need anything from you now except honesty. Elijah spoke next. Voice deep, controlled, emotion underneath. I've spent my whole life wondering who my father was, wondering why he didn't want me, wondering if something was wrong with me. Mom told me yesterday you didn't know I existed. I don't know if that makes it better or worse, but I needed the truth. I needed to see your face. All eyes turned to Thaddeus. He was crying, not sobbing, just tears streaming as he looked at the son he'd never known. I'm sorry, he said, voice breaking. I'm so sorry. I was a coward. I was selfish. I made a choice that hurt you and your mother and my own family. I can't undo that. I can't go back and be the father you deserved. But if you'll let me, I'd like to know you now. I'd like to be in your life, whatever that looks like. I know I have no right to ask, but I'm asking anyway. Elijah didn't answer right away. Looked at his mother. She nodded. I don't know, he finally said. I need time. This is a lot. I understand. Bishop Franklin spoke then. Elder Whitmore, and I'm still calling you that because technically you were ordained, even if the paperwork isn't filed. You face a choice now. The Council of Elders has met. Some believe you should be stripped of your ordination. Others believe this sin, while serious, happened before your ordination process began and doesn't disqualify you if you repent and make amends. What do you believe, Bishop? I believe God calls imperfect people. David was an adulterer, Peter denied Christ, Paul persecuted Christians. God still used them. But I also believe leadership in the church requires a higher standard. You kept this secret 24 years, counseled people while living a lie, pursued ordination knowing you had unresolved sin. He paused. The council has decided your ordination will be suspended for 1 year. During that year, you'll undergo counseling, make restitution where possible, work to build a relationship with your son if he's willing, submit to accountability from the elders. After 1 year, we'll revisit whether you should be formally ordained. Thaddeus nodded. I accept that. Thank you for your mercy. And your marriage? Bishop Franklin looked at me. Sister Whitmore, how are you? How was I? Devastated, betrayed, angry, hurt, but also still breathing, still standing, still capable of choice. I don't know yet, I said honestly. I need time too. The meeting ended. Simone and Elijah left. Thaddeus and I drove home in silence. That night, I told him I needed space. He packed a bag and went to stay with his brother. Our children came home. Isaiah flew in from Dallas. Naomi drove up from downtown. We sat in the living room and I told them everything. They were shocked, hurt, angry, but they also had questions. Do we have a brother? Naomi asked. Yes, his name is Elijah. He's 23. Does he want to meet us? I don't know. Maybe, eventually. Do you want us to meet him? Isaiah asked directly. I thought about it. This young man was innocent, a victim too. Yes, I said. I think you should. He's your brother. That's not his fault. Over the next months, our family expanded in the strangest way. Isaiah reached out to Elijah through social media. They met for coffee. Then Naomi joined. Eventually, the three of them started getting to know each other as siblings. Thaddeus started counseling, individual and with me. The counselor didn't push reconciliation, just helped us process betrayal, hurt, deception. Do you still love him? She asked one day. I don't know, I said honestly. I love who I thought he was, but I'm not sure that person ever existed. He exists, the counselor said gently. He's just more complicated than you knew. Thaddeus met with Elijah several times. Awkward at first, but gradually they started building something. Not a traditional father-son relationship, too much time lost, but something. A connection. The church handled it quietly. No public announcements, no scandal. Just a simple statement that Elder Whitmore was taking a sabbatical and would return when God released him. Some people knew the truth, some didn't. But enough knew that I couldn't walk into church without feeling the weight of their knowledge, the pity, the curiosity, the judgment, not of me, but of Thaddeus, and by extension, our family. It was humiliating, but it was also clarifying. I learned who my real friends were. Sister Dorothy brought meals and sat with me when I cried. Sister Angela, after her initial retreat, came back and never asked invasive questions, just let me talk when ready. Reverend Phillips preached about grace and second chances, and slowly, so slowly I almost didn't notice, I started to heal. I decided to stay in the marriage, not because I had to, not because I was afraid of being alone, but because after 28 years, 2 children, countless shared memories, I wasn't ready to walk away without trying to rebuild. Thaddeus moved back home after 3 months. We established new rules, complete transparency, access to all accounts, communications, schedules, continued counseling, accountability with elders, and most importantly, no secrets, ever again. I will spend the rest of my life earning back your trust, he told me. You can't earn it back, I said. Trust isn't transactional. It's built over time through consistency, and it can still be broken again. I'm choosing to give you the chance to build something new, but it won't be the same as what we had before. I know. The year passed. Thaddeus continued counseling, built a tentative but real relationship with Elijah, met with elders monthly, volunteered at church in non-leadership capacities, preached occasionally when invited, but didn't push for ordination reinstatement. And then came the second ordination ceremony, September 17th, 2024, exactly 1 year after the first. This time, no surprise, no mysterious woman, just a quiet service with immediate family and church leadership. Bishop Franklin laid hands on Thaddeus, pronounced him ordained. The paperwork was filed, official, but everything was different. The pride I'd felt the first time was tempered now, the joy complicated by grief, the celebration quieter, more subdued, more realistic. This time, when Thaddeus turned to face the congregation, I saw him differently. Not as the perfect man I'd built up for 28 years, but as a flawed, broken, redeemed man who'd made terrible choices and was trying to do better. And somehow that version felt more real, more trustworthy even, because I knew his worst now. I'd seen him at his most ashamed, and he was still here, still trying, still committed to becoming someone worthy of the calling he'd received. After the service, Simone and Elijah arrived. They'd been invited. Thaddeus wanted them there. Isaiah and Naomi greeted their half-brother with hugs. Simone shook my hand awkwardly. Thank you for being here, I said. Thank you for inviting us. Strange, uncomfortable, holy. This patchwork family created out of betrayal and consequence and grace. Someone took a photo, Thaddeus surrounded by all 3 children. Isaiah on his left, Naomi on his right, Elijah standing slightly apart, not quite comfortable yet, but willing to be included. That photo sits on my dresser now. But I don't want to paint this as a perfect ending, because it wasn't. Some people never came back to that second ordination. Some relationships never recovered. Sister Angela and I are friendly now, but we don't have lunch every other week anymore. Deacon Morris still finds other aisles when he sees me at the grocery store. And I've heard the whispers, quiet ones, but they're there. She took him back. I don't know if I could have done that. Do you think he'll do it again? The church split a little over it. Not officially, not dramatically, but some people left quietly, found other congregations, other pastors, places where they didn't have to reconcile their image of a godly man with the reality of his failures. And that's the truth nobody talks about. Grace is messy. Redemption is complicated. And not everyone believes in second chances the same way, but I have clarity now. That's what I didn't have before. I have truth. Hard, painful, complicated truth. But truth nonetheless. And I have spiritual grounding. Not because everything worked out perfectly, but because I learned that God's timing, even when it feels cruel, is purposeful. Looking back at that moment when the woman stood up during the ordination, I realize now she was an instrument of God's mercy. Not punishment, mercy. Because living a lie is not freedom, even when the lie is comfortable. And truth, no matter how painful, is always a gift. Proverbs 28:13 says, "Whoever conceals their sins does not prosper, but the one who confesses and renounces them finds mercy." For 24 years, Thaddeus concealed his sin, and it poisoned everything: his marriage, his ministry, his relationship with God. The truth didn't destroy him. The hiding did. That envelope could have arrived at any time. But God, in His wisdom, allowed it to arrive at the moment of ordination. The moment when Thaddeus was publicly declaring his fitness for spiritual leadership. The moment when the lie would have been cemented into his ministry forever. God doesn't expose sin to humiliate us. He exposes it to free us, to give us the chance to face what we've been running from, to force us into the uncomfortable work of repentance and restoration. The silence, those weeks of not knowing, of waiting, of feeling everyone else knew something I didn't. That was a test of faith, and I almost failed it. I almost let the not knowing destroy me before the knowing ever could, but God held me through it. And when the truth finally came, painful as it was also mercy. Because I needed to know. Elijah needed to know. And Thaddeus needed to finally stop running from what he'd done. I'm not grateful for the affair. I'm not grateful for the betrayal. But I am grateful the truth came out when it did. Sisters, if this story resonated with you, if you've ever felt that moment when everything you believed was called into question, when truth arrived at the worst possible time and forced you to face what you'd been avoiding, I want you to know you're not alone. God's timing is not always comfortable, but it is always purposeful. Hit that like button and let me know this story touched you. Drop a comment below. Have you ever experienced a moment when God revealed something that changed everything? How did you walk through it? What did you learn about grace and truth on the other side? And if you haven't subscribed yet, please do. Every Wednesday and Saturday, we share stories from the Black Church. Stories about faith tested, truth revealed, and redemption found in the most unexpected places. Stories that remind us that God's grace is sufficient, even when the truth is hard. This is Claire Whitmore, reminding you that God doesn't hide the truth to protect us. He reveals it to free us. Even when the revelation comes at the altar, even when it arrives in a sealed envelope, even when it shatters everything we thought we knew. Be blessed, sisters. And trust that if God is revealing truth to you, no matter how painful, it's because He loves you too much to let you keep living a lie.